Yesterday was the Oscars, and Chris Rock was the host, and he made a joke about Jada Pickett Smith's bald head, who's suffering from hair loss and alopecia, a autoimmune condition. And Will Smith didn't like that, and he got up on stage and smacked Chris Rock across the face and told him to keep his wife's name out of his mouth. And this was not staged, this was real. So in this video, I want to share some things that people who are suffering from hair loss can do to attempt to regrow that hair. If you catch hair loss quick enough, you can regrow the hair. But if the hair loss has been going on for years and years and years and years, it's going to be very difficult. But it is important that you address the root cause, because the more hair is going to fall out, the more the hair is going to thin and turn gray. I have a lot of students suffering from digestive issues, and they think that the hair loss is caused by not getting enough nutrients, that their body isn't digesting the food anymore, therefore their body can't make healthy hair. Well, why can the body make healthy hair everywhere else on the body, just not on the head? There's a very specific reason why your body chooses to produce hair loss, in a very specific reason. And so I want to share with you some of the reasons why. I'd have to talk to Jada Pickett Smith personally to get to the root cause of the event, the conflict shock that caused her hair to start falling out. But she lives a pretty public life, and I could take an educated guess on what it is. And I also have some personal stories to share with you about hair loss as well. But there is a root cause, and you can address it, and you can fix it. This is not an autoimmune condition. There's actually no such thing as the immune system. Everybody who suffers from alopecia or hair loss, if you look at their brain CT scans, they're going to have a ring-shaped formation right about here, right about here. And it's going to be a sharp ring, which means the program is conflict active. This is a separation conflict, being torn from the skin. It's either wanting to separate from somebody, get away from me, don't touch me, don't touch me, or an unwanted separation, like torn from the skin, like a conflict shock. Now, how could that be? What's an event that could be a separation conflict? Going through a bad breakup, a death in the family, a death of a loved one, a divorce. These are types of situations that can produce a separation conflict. And Jada Pickett Smith has lots of those instances in her life. She was very close with Tupac, and he died, and they got separated, and they were really close. Over the past few years, she's been quasi-separated from Will Smith. So it's hard to tell. I don't have all the details or a perfect timeline, but five to 10 years ago, that's when Will Smith and Jada Pickett Smith started to break up, and that's when her hair loss intensified. I think she wanted out of the relationship. She didn't want to be in the relationship, so it's a wanted separation conflict. And why it chose to show up on her hair, I don't know. It's the subconscious. You never know how your subconscious is going to interpret things. Maybe she likes being pet on the head. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe Will Smith goes like this, like, oh, hi, darling, oh, you're so cute. And she doesn't like that. This is, maybe they had a talk, that spot where her hair is falling out is significant to her in some respect. So I have one of my teachers, she told me she has hair loss, and she noticed her hair starts to fall out in the shower when she starts to miss her mother. Her mother passed away, 10, 20 years ago, and her hair started to fall out. And, you start getting other symptoms such as brain fog. This brain fog is to help you cope with the conflict. It's supposed to help you forget the person to get through this painful period. Much like alcohol or drugs would do. But the brain is also capable of that as well. And so you get brain fog. But if you get into the shower and your hair is all of a sudden falling out and you're clogging the drain, you're going through some sort of a separation conflict, and it is conflict active. Do you miss your kids? Do you miss your best friend? Did you just go through a breakup? Was there a death in the family? Who have you been missing lately? Who do you want to separate from recently? And so she just changed. So my teacher, she just changed her thoughts. Like, oh, instead of like, oh, I miss my mother, it was like, oh, I'm grateful for that time. And, shifted her thoughts towards other things, and the hair loss stopped. So when we experience the separation conflict, the body responds with cell loss in the epidermis, cell loss. And when it's severe enough, this damages the hair follicles and starts to cause gray hair, dandruff, and eventually hair loss when it's very long and very intense. The hair loss starts when the conflict gets resolved. Let's say you find, you're over this person and you find a new partner. Let's say you're finally over your grandmother's death, or whatever the separation conflict might be. The body replaces this cell loss with cell proliferation, cell restoration. And so the tissue will become inflamed. It could be diagnosed as eczema. It becomes inflamed and itchy. So if you have hair loss and all of a sudden your head becomes very itchy and inflamed, that's a good thing. You have resolved the conflict. And it's going through the process, and that process will complete and finish and go away if we prevent ourselves from having conflict relapses and countering tracks. And this is kind of a hard special program to track, because people I usually work with, they're dealing with digestive issues. So they hit a track, they have a conflict relapse, they get diarrhea. Instantly, it's very easy to track. But with hair loss, you don't necessarily know when you're hitting a track or you're conflict active. You don't really know. You really only know in the morning or at night when you take that shower and you see how much hair falls out. I mean, if you have clumps of hair falling out, you are extremely stressed out about something. It should be very easy to point out, because you are conflict active. This is something that's keeping you up at night. We need to identify it and resolve it or downgrade it. The price of you stressing, missing this person, or wanting this person out of your life, it can motivate you. Like, let's say you're in a bad relationship and you want to break up with this person, but you're just afraid to do it because you're afraid of the backlash and all the emotions and stuff like that. But like, the more you sit and don't do this thing that you clearly want to do, the more your hair is going to fall out, because you don't want to be around this person. So knowing that, hey, your hair is going to fall out if you don't do this, the resolution is like, hey, I want to break up, let's get out of here. And then the program should almost instantly switch to the healing phase. Or if you want to stay in the relationship, your spouse might give you a separation conflict that you want them to be away from, because I have a semi-separation conflict. I have a little bit of dandruff, and I think it was from I get it on my head. I don't like people touching my head. I never really liked head scratches, so it's not like an unwanted separation. I don't really like people touching my head, and the only thing that I can think of where I don't want people around me is when I'm working at my computer, or especially when I'm playing League of Legends or World of Warcraft or something like that. I don't like people, because my parents would come up behind me and go, "You've been playing too many video games. When are you going to get off the video games, Mike?" Like, that stuff used to drive me crazy, and my character would die, and I would start over and lose all my progress. So I believe, and it intensified a couple of months ago when I was playing hardcore World of Warcraft, where if I was interrupted at all, I would die and lose all hours of progress. And so I noticed like a little bit of my hair falling out in the shower. Not a lot, because it wasn't very stressful for me. It's just a little bit stressful. But so if you're struggling with hair loss, think about a separation conflict. Think of it, it might not be completely obvious. So when did your hair loss start? Try to think, when did you start seeing loads and loads of hair start showing up in the shower? Was there a death in the family? Did you go through a breakup? And coming to peace with that, putting it to bed for good, resolving the conflict, getting out of the relation, doing what you really need, because we all love to avoid problems. I'm the king of that. So that's what you need to do to fix hair loss. For Jada Pinkett Smith, I don't know her history. It sounds like it's been around for a very long time, and it's also intense from what I can tell. So maybe that hair loss isn't reversible. You know, there's products that we can use to kind of help stimulate hair growth and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's the psyche that's controlling the special program, that's controlling the cell loss on the epidermis where the hair follicles are. And if those get damaged from that conflict active activity causing the cell loss, you know, if there's no, that's why the hair follicle is damaged. And if that's damaged to an extent, it just won't grow back because it's just too far gone. I don't know much about hair plants, trans surgery and all that stuff. So if you have hair loss and you all of a sudden get eczema or your head starts to itch, that's a good thing. You've resolved the separation conflict, and that can help you identify what the conflict is. Identify the conflict. Identify the separation conflict, whether it's a wanted or an unwanted separation. My name's Mike the Heal Your Gut Guy, and I used to suffer from horrible Crohn's and colitis and had all sorts of diarrhea and food intolerances, but those are all gone now. And I did this with the help of German New Medicine, and I want to help you guys get better. So I have a program called the Rapid Gut Healing Program that has all sorts of educational videos, a private Facebook group where I answer your questions every single day, and we do 3 live Q&As 3 times a week, every single week, 3 live Q&As. I do one. I have another coach. Her name's Deanna. Has over 10 years experience with German New Medicine. Very good. She can answer your questions too. And then I have also another coach, and his name is Daniel, and he knows hypnosis and NLP, and he can help you change those emotions that are help you get through that separation conflict to help get your hair to grow back, or to help stop your digestive issues or any other autoimmune conditions you might be suffering from. The root cause is psychological. It starts this process of cell loss and cell proliferation, or cell proliferation and cell loss depending on which organ is involved, and we can help you through that. It's a very different concept. You need someone to kind of help hold your hand through the process and talk you through the process, and that's what our Rapid Gut Healing Program does. But if you don't have the money to sign up, that's okay. I have a free 30-day program that you can watch right at the end of the video. It should be right here, or maybe it's over here. I don't know which way is which on this thing. But guys, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.